Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about What If Deku Quirk awakened as Indestructible Part 1. If you guys enjoy this What If and want to see Part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story, TriggeredIida from Wattpad. So let's start the video. My name is 𝗧𝗵𝗲, and to answer your second question, I didn't choose to come down here, she said with partial fright in her throat. Well, it's okay now. Why? Because I am here, I said, giving off a near-perfect impression of All Might. I just had to work on the face a bit more. She laughed. Thank you for saving me. I hope we can meet again, my guardian angel, she said as she left the alleyway and on towards her home. I trailed behind her from a distance to make sure she got home safe. Then I saw where she lived. You've got to be kidding me. She's an actual 𝗧𝗪𝗧? I just saved Japan's most influential family's daughter. I honestly hope they don't praise me for saving her. I just did what anybody else would have done. Honestly, I'd like to get to know her a lot more, I thought as I headed towards my own home. I walked through the door to find my mom standing there. Why are you home so late, Izuku? She said as she embraced me. Oh, nothing in particular, I just took a longer route home. She let go of me and I went to my room. I felt exhausted and I crashed onto my bed. Next morning, Izuku, you better wake up now or so help me God, were the first words I heard. If in Peachy, my voice sounded deeper and more American. My body hurt like I got ran over. I forced my body to get up and headed over to the bathroom. I opened my eyes and noticed I was extremely buff and tall. When the hell did this happen? I said in English. Not even recognizing my own voice. He sounds like Bucky from the recent movies in the MCU. Hey mom, can you come here 1 second? I said, trying my best to sound like my old self. Yeah, what do yo, who are you? She said. Her voice was laced with indefinite amounts of venom. Whoa, calm down, it's me, Izuku, your son. Then why are you so tall? And I guess a quirk could explain it. If you are Izuku, then what's your favorite meal? She continued on until I had to get to school. I was about 6 feet 2 inches and I towered over everybody, even my teachers. When I walked into my class, everyone was silent, even Kakin, until he spoke up. What the hell is wrong with you? Did you inject too many steroids? He taunted. No, you idiot, I developed my quirk last night. That's why I'm so goddamn late, I said in perfect English. Only Kakin and the teacher understood what I said. Kakin got up with his hands sparking. He ran towards me when the teacher tried to stop Kakin from fighting me. So I did what any normal teen would do. I chopped him on the neck, knocking him out. Midoriya, you will take him to the nurse's office and go to the principal's office. But besides that, congrats on getting your quirk, he said, quickly shifting the mood. Now get out. I took Kakin to the nurse's and headed for the principal's office. I was supposed to get suspended for hurting another person on school grounds, but he let me and Kakin go with only a detention because no harm was caused. As we served detention, I could feel eyes burning holes into the back of my head, but I wasn't paying attention to that. So my new quirk should have come from my dad. Since my mom's quirk is just telekinesis, I only have 10 months before the entrance exam, so I've got to train, but where I know the perfect place. It's been filled with trash for years. I'll head over there after school today. And so I did. I started my training that day and was close to finishing the beach after 7 months, but that's when I saw her again. I was cleaning up the beach one day, when I felt that there were a set of eyes gazing upon me, so I turned around and was met with her appealing face again. She quickly turned and walked away. I was shocked at what she was doing, so I jogged to get to her. As I caught up with her, she tripped, so I reacted with catching her with my arms around her waist. I was blushing profusely at my actions. I pulled her up onto her feet and bowed. I am so sorry for causing you to fall. She playfully hit me on the head. Still seems like you're my guardian angel, she then laughed. It was the most appealing, heartwarming laugh that I have ever heard. I just melted at the sound of it. Hey, are you alright? Your face is extremely red, and you've got a high temperature, she said as she touched my head, only causing me to blush harder. I'm fine. Really it's nothing. Okay, whatever you say. It occurs to me that I never got your name. She asked me. Oh God, she is so cute when she speaks like a rich girl. Wait, what am I saying? I can't be in love with her, I thought, which made my heart beat faster and faster until it felt like it would burst. My name is Izuku Midoriya. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, my lady. I bowed, which caused her to blush, but I didn't notice. So what were you doing? Spying on me at the beach, I could presume, I taunted. And no, it's not like that, Baka. I was just gathering my courage to say hi to you after so long, she said as she hit me over the head. Oh well, hi. We then spent the rest of the afternoon talking to each other until she had to go home. I've got to go home, Midoriya, but it was nice meeting you. Oh, and before I forget, what high school are you planning to go to? Well, I plan on going to you just like you. Also, do you want me to walk you home? It's almost sundown. I pointed to the sun as she shook her head. I can't possibly let you go home late. Nonsense, I usually am out later than this. I'm also not taking no for an answer, I stated as she sighed. Fine, I guess you can come, she grumbled. I then pumped my fist into the air. Me and Momo have been hanging out these past few months and have gotten to know each other much better. I was finally ready to make my dreams into a reality. Ooh, get ready for me to come. /Izuku's POV, here I stand, in front of my dream school. Time for me to take the first step towards my goal, I thought as I took the first step onto the school grounds. I continued on walking until I saw Kaken accidentally push a girl down. I disappeared and reappeared in front of her, catching her by the shoulders. Her face was flushed and I had no clue why, so I asked her, "Hey, are you sick or something? 'Cause if you are, you shouldn't take the exam." Then, cried the brown-haired girl that almost fell. I'm fine. I have her a skeptical look because of how she was stuttering. Really, I am fine, she said. I sighed, knowing that I gave in. We both got into the exam hall quickly. I found that I was placed next to Kaken, so I sparked up a conversation with him. So, Katsuki, have a girlfriend yet, or anyone you have your eye on? I teased. He went a shade darker than usual. Why would I tell you, you useless Deku? I put up my hands in defeat before starting to say, well, if you're not into girls, are there any goo? Are you ready? I was cut off by the person who gives off the instructions. I turned my direction to the speaker and found that it present Mike, who used his voice as a weapon to disrupt enemies and make them go deaf with his loud voice. Let me hear you say. The crowd was silent. Sheesh, tough crowd. Welcome to the UA entrance exams. In this exam, y'all will be placed within different cities to fight robots. I zoned out as I started muttering about how present Mike. Excuse me, Essa, there are 4 robots as you said, but there are only 3 on the screen. If you were wrong in out the information, then this would be an embarrassment for you. And you. I pointed at myself. Yes, you. If you can't take this seriously, then you should leave, he said as he robotically pointed to the door. Hey, if anything, you're the one not taking this. Seriously, you literally didn't let present Mike finish speaking. You just interrupted him because you can't just calm down and wait. Now, present Mike, if you'd continue, I said as I sat back down, not caring about what the other people were saying about me. As present Mike finished his speech, the screen displaying the robots changed to represent which areas we would be heading to fight the robots in. I was placed into City B. When we got there, I spotted the brown-haired girl and the rude guy from earlier. I was going to say hi to the brown-haired girl, but I thought I shouldn't. The rude guy from earlier caught me looking at her and came up to me. If you think that I'd let you interrupt anybody else from doing their best, then you're sorely mistaken. Jesus Christ, all you ever do is run your mouth. I suggest that you shut up and calm down for once in your life. You stick in your butt, I said, irritated. He opened his mouth to speak again, but was interrupted by a bell that signifies that the exams were starting. I rushed off into the city, leaving everyone in my dust. I spotted a couple of one-pointers, so I just blasted them with air pressure from my quirk. I then rushed deeper into the city, destroying robots with punches, kicks, and slams until a huge robot came into the city. I assumed it was a 0-pointer and was ready to take it on until I heard a cry from under the rubble that the robot caused. It was the brown-haired girl. I rushed in to save the girl by lifting the rubble off of her and giving her to the rude guy. I then turned towards the 0-pointer and jumped up to punch it. I could only jump a fourth of the way, but I still punched its leg, which broke it in half. I did that with the other front leg and threw it off balance, which caused it to fall. I then ran to the center of the robot and tried to hold it up and keep it from falling. But it wasn't working. I could feel myself getting crushed. I felt that same burning longing to survive and beat this 0-pointer. I felt a new power course through my veins. I felt like I was burning with determination. I started to be enveloped in a blue and red shroud of lightning. I felt that I could lift anything in the world. I started to lift the 0-pointer with one hand and shouted, "Go beyond, plus 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐲 I then punched it with my free hand. It was easily launched into orbit. I collapsed on the ground clutching my chest. It felt like it could burst if I'm not careful. I started to look at my surroundings and blink. Everything was getting blurry and becoming black. The last thing I saw was a group of people surround me as I passed out. I woke up with a massive headache. I opened my eyes and immediately closed them due to the blinding light. As I got acclimated to the light, I saw someone sitting in the bed next to me. It was that brown-haired girl, and she was awake talking to the nurse or doctor of the room. She turned around and introduced herself as Uraraka Ochako. "Hey, thanks for saving me back there. Can you be me boyfriend?" She said that last part quickly. "Come again," I said as I lifted my hand to my ear. I said, "Can you be my boyfriend?" I was flat out shocked. Why did a girl who has never met me want to be in a relationship with me? "I'm sorry, but I'll have to say no." I got up leaving the nurse's office, but not before getting my results. As I headed home, I had a bad feeling about the girl I just met. Uraraka's P. "Oh, you will be mine, Izuku. You will be mine even if it's the last thing I do." My results were in. It was time to see if I would be accepted or not. I opened the mail on my desk and out popped a small black disc. I was confused until a hologram of All Might appeared. "Young Midoriya, it is so nice to meet the young man who has the heart of a hero. You, my young man, have scored 84 villain points, which allows you to be second place, but there were two types of points. You scored 84 villain point, but your score was 144 total points. The second type of points were rescue points, which you scored 60 of for saving young Uraraka. Welcome to your hero academia." And with that my tears flowed. I was happy that I was accepted by the school and by All Might. I exited my room and my mom was outside of it. I told her the good news and she was ecstatic about the news. I knew I had to text Momo about my acceptance, so I entered my room and plopped on my bed pulling my phone out. "Guardian Angel, yo Yaoyorozu, I got accepted into your Momo. Oh, I'm so glad that you've been accepted. What class are you gonna be in?" "Guardian Angel, Class 1A if I'm correct, Momo. Really, I'm also in Class A, Guardian Angel." "No way, we get to see more of each other." Momo started blushing, but Izuku has no clue. Momo, "Yeah, that's great. Well, school starts tomorrow, so I'll be getting ready. Good night, my Guardian Angel, Guardian Angel." "Good night, Momo." God, why has she been using that nickname she said when she first met me? It's so goddamn cute and I love it. Wait, I love it. Do I love her? Do I want to be with her? I thought of Momo and my heart raced at 1,000,000 miles per hour. My chest felt like it would explode. What is wrong with my chest? Is it because of my quirk or what? After 5 minutes or so I calmed down and went to bed. I put on my UA uniform after showering and all the other tasks and headed off to UA an hour or so before class started. After 50 minutes of taking a train to UA and walking, I finally got to class. I was outside the class and I could already hear Kaken and that blue-haired boy arguing. "Take your feet off of the desk. You are disrespecting your upperclassmen and those that have built the desk," scolded the blue-haired man. "Were you born with that stick in your butt? Or did your old school stick it in there? How disrespectful. Anyway, can we start over? My name is Ida Tenya. I come from 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝐈 Private Academy." "Oh, so you think you're better than me? I can't wait to beat your butt." Gasp, "Are you sure you want to be a hero?" "Don't worry, it's always been his dream," I interjected from the door. Ida turned towards me and was going to introduce himself, but I stopped him. "I already know who you are. I overheard your conversation with Kaken." "Oh, hello Momo." I turned my attention towards Momo. "Oh, hi Izuku," she replied back to me. I felt something touching my back from behind and jumped. I almost hit the ceiling. I hit the ground with a thud. As I got up, I noticed that the girl I saved was the culprit. "Why would you do that?" I rasped out since I lost my breath from the fall. "Because I thought it would be cute," she said as she and I both blushed. Just then the room to the door opened, revealing a yellow cocoon of some sort. "Sit down and be quiet," the cocoon said. We all sat down as the cocoon slugged towards the teacher's desk. "It took you 8 seconds to quiet down. We'll need to improve it. Anyways, put these on and meet me in the training field." The cocoon sprouted into a black-haired human that pulled out a box of gym uniforms. We all took our size and got changed. We all met at the training field. I noticed which pro hero the black-haired man was. He was the pro hero Eraserhead. I could tell because of his stature and hair. "Today we will be doing a quirk apprehension test. But sensei, what about an orientation?" "That can wait for now. We test your skills." 𝗵𝘃𝗲𝗁, throw this ball, you can use your quirk. 𝗵𝘃𝗁 took the ball from Aizawa and entered the circle. He got prepared to throw the ball. When he threw it, he shouted, 𝗕𝗓. Everyone's sweat dropped when Aizawa said the score, 705. Midoriya, since you scored the highest overall, I want you to throw the next ball. I took the ball and stepped up to the plate. As I threw the ball, I knew something was wrong. The ball left my hand and I got 100 or so meters. Try again, but this time give it your all, 'cause if you half-butt it, I will expel you. I gulped as I threw it at my maximum strength, which scored me 1028 meters. That's it, Midoriya, you're expelled. Everyone on the class was shocked. But why? I did as you asked. No, you didn't. If you did, you would have easily broken the Earth's gravitational pull. Also, if that is so, then how did you lift the 0-pointer? Aizawa questioned menacingly. I only used that power because I would have died otherwise. I literally only learned about it a week ago. If you want to see it, I said as I grabbed a ball from Aizawa. Then watch me, I said as I threw the ball with my newfound power. My arm instantly shattered. The ball was traveling so fast that no one could see it. It traveled into space in less than a goddamn second. There, you happy? I broke my arm. Oh, I have enough potential now, you piece of racerhead. Everyone was surprised at how an innocent-looking boy could speak such vulgar English. I then walked off the field. Momo chased after me, but I waved her off. This school doesn't need someone who can destroy their body in one move. Goodbye, my former classmates. See you sometime, Momo. I said as I prepared to jump off, but was stopped by clapping. I looked back at the sound. It was Aizawa slow clapping like a villain. Ugh. If you were going to be this dramatic, then I wouldn't have done this. I was never going to expel you, 'cause you showed the most potential to be a hero more than anyone here, Midoriya. I was shocked to hear those words that sounded so caring yet so distant at the same time. He sounded like my dad. Now go to Recovery Girl and get that arm healed up. You don't have to participate in the rest of the tests, but remember, give it your all, plus ultra, he said in a way that made it sound like he was pumped yet not. I headed to the nurse's office and got healed. Every last bit of my energy was taken out of me. I could hardly stand, but I wanted to watch Momo and the competition perform in the tests. Izuku POV. After 4 days of school, a major event happened that changed everyone's lives. As I arrived at school that day, I had the feeling that something wasn't right and that our lives would change forever as students. I sat in class nervously tapping my foot to the rhythm of my music, not the top music, that will serve a purpose, until Yaoyorozu walked in. She stole all of my worries away the moment she walked into the room. My goodness, I might actually be in love with her. My heart keeps thumping whenever I see her. But what if she doesn't like me back? Will I ever be able to mend my broken heart after that? Or will I live forever with that heavy pain in my heart? I questioned myself until she started walking towards me. She opened her mouth and started to say, Izuku, what do you think we'll be doing today? I opened my mouth to say something, but I felt eyes burn through the back of my head. I glanced back and saw Todoroki giving off a death glare. I actually have no clue, Momo, but I'm kinda nervous about it. God, if looks could kill, I'd be dead 1,000 times over. Well, it's okay, Izuku, I'm here with you, she said as she took my hands. I blushed as red as a tomato and started to stutter. Why yeah, thanks, Momo. OMG, I really am falling for her, and I'm falling for her hard. That's when things went from bad to worse. Todoroki activated his quirk and froze my upper body entirely. Todoroki, do you mind unfreezing me, please? No, he said in a monotone and yet angry way. Fine, I'll do it myself, jackass. I muttered the last part out as I flexed my right arm, freeing it instantly. I then pointed my arm towards me and sighed. I then flicked my finger and blew the ice off and myself away. I hit the wall with tons of power. I shook myself off as I stood up. Are you okay, Izuku? Asked Momo as she ran through my destruction and attended to me. I'm okay, just a bit disoriented, I said as I started to fall down next to her. She quickly used her quirk and threw a pillow down to where I was falling. Thanks, Momo. No problem, Izuku. Todoroki was fuming because of our close relationship. That's when Aizawa walked in. What happened? You know what? It doesn't matter, just clean it up now. I got up off the pillow and started to clean up the mess I made with my quirk. Ahem, now that that's done, we will do something that will change your lives forever, everyone in the class murmured. Today we will be choosing who your class president will be. Everyone cried out, oh, Oh, pick me, I'll be the manliest, Kirishima, pick me, to, pick me Yudin Shitnerds, Baku bitch, as my first order as class president. I will make the girls' skirts be at least 3 inches shorter than normal. All of the girls looked frightened, especially Momo, at what Mineta said and what he could do in the future. I stood up from my chair and walked towards him. Apparently Mineta needs a personal crusade delivered by me today, possibly again in the future. I walked up to his desk and grabbed him by the head. I then walked over to the window with Mineta in tow and opened it. I then punted the SHT out of Mineta and he was sent flying. I also aimed for his ball so I could hear his cries of pain before he left my hearing distance. Took care of the trash. Now shall we get back to the election? I said as I heard a loud crash come from where I sent Mineta to. Every girl looked at my raw power and started to blush because of what I did except Momo. Why isn't Momo looking at me like the rest of the girls? Does she not like me? I panicked in my mind. Midoriya, it is not okay to punt your classmates out of the window, unless it's Mineta and he deserves it, said Aizawa coming out of left field. I believe we should take our votes for class president and vice president by putting a name on a slip of paper and submitting it. Momo, do you mind making the basket and slips of paper? I asked as she created them and handed them to me. Thank you, Momo. I passed out a slip of paper to everyone in the class except Mineta, because he was hundreds of kilometers away. I took a pen from my backpack and wrote Momo's name on it, seeing as she was the most responsible and qualified for the spot. I put it in the basket and waited for everyone to finish. Momo and I then took the basket and started counting the votes. Our class president will apparently be me with 7 votes. Honestly, I don't know why you guys think I'm a good leader, but okay, I said. Our vice president will also be me. I will fulfill all of your wishes to the best of my extent. Momo bowed. Now that is over, regular classes will start now, stated Aizawa. I sat down with Uraraka, Momo, and Iida. Uraraka was sitting extremely close to me. She was practically snuggling against my right arm. Iida was sitting diagonally from me and next to Momo, who was across. Who votes for me to be class president anyways? Everyone looked away from me. Really, you guys voted for me, but why? Well, Midoriya, it's because I see you as the greatest leader in our class. I love you, muttered Uraraka, but no one heard her. Well, I have to agree with Iida, and besides, you are the most hero. Ow. She was hit on the head by an arrogant blonde student. I'm sorry, I guess I didn't estimate how big your head was. You class 1A think. You're so much better than us, don't you? I stood up ready to punch this guy right in the face, but Uraraka stopped me by holding onto my arm. I gently slid her off and walked towards him. Oh, and what do you think you're going to do, you pathetic class 𝗂𝐵? You better hope that I don't beat you up in front of your bimbo of a girlfriend, shouted the blonde-haired boy. I was only going to let him off with a fist to the face, but now I think he needs a kick out the door. You talk too much. I chopped him in the neck, which sent him into the floor and causing a small hole to appear. I crouched down to his height and said, if you ever insult my friend again, I will personally make sure that they won't ever find your body. Got it? I said in a menacing tone. I then sent a kick into his back with 50% of my power. I made a small crater in the ground as he was officially knocked out. Anyway, are you alright? Where's Momo? Everyone said they didn't know where Momo was. I said, where's Momo? Iida spoke up. I think she went that way, he said as he pointed towards a staircase. I nodded my head and ran up the stairs and up to the roof. I opened the door to the roof and heard crying coming from the corner. I walked out onto the roof and walked around the corner quietly. I snuck up behind Momo and embraced her in a hug. It's alright, Momo, I'm here for you. She cried even harder into my arms. I don't know what to say to her. I want to make her feel better, but what should I say? Thank you for being here with me. Izuku. I hugged her even tighter. I promise that I will always be there for you, Momo. No matter what happens, you can always count on me. That's when I noticed the disintegrated front gate of UA, but I didn't tell her because I wanted this hug to last longer. Hey Izuku, do you think I'm a bimbo like that guy said? I don't think you're a bimbo. I really don't like using this word, Momo. I think you're pretty just the way you are and that nothing can make you change, so don't listen to that, but listen to your friends. She blushed as red as a tomato as she buried her face into my chest, which caused me to blush like a tomato, which caused us to be a pair of cute tomatoes who were too blind to see that we loved each other. It was 2 days after I found out the front gates of UA were destroyed. Aizawa said that we would be going to the USJ, and to put on our gym outfits on or out hero outfits. I decided to put on my hero outfit. I didn't realize that it would show off most of my decided to put on my hero outfit. I didn't realize that it would show off most of my 51 muscles, so I just exited the changing room with a slight blush. Every girl that I passed was staring at me with lust, all the men were giving me death glares. Anyways, since I'm the class president, I have to direct everyone onto the bus to leave for the USJ, along with Momo. As people started to arrive at the bus, I noticed that Momo was one of the first people to arrive. Jesus Christ, what is she wearing? I blushed as I saw what she was wearing. I then got a nosebleed as she came towards me. So Izuku, are you ready to do our jobs today? Why yes sure Momo ahem, but if may I ask, why are you dressed like that? I asked as I stopped stuttering. So Izuku, are you ready to do our jobs today? Why yes sure Momo ahem, but if may I ask, why are you dressed like that? I asked as I stopped stuttering. Oh, this? She didn't know that she pointed at her chest as she said that, which caused me to be 10 shades of red darker. It's for my quirk. If I use my quirk with clothing under the point of creation, then my clothing would either break or hurt me depending on where it is created. Yeah, but aren't you afraid that you can be hurt easier? Nope, that's why I have my guardian angel with me. I blushed as she acknowledged me as her own. Anyway, everyone take a seat in the bus, starting with the back seats and ending with the ones up front. And Mineta, if you think of doing anything perverted during this field trip, I won't hesitate to send you into the sun. I put my hand on his shoulder. Got it? I said with murderous intent in my voice. He quickly nodded. Good, I said, returning to my normal self. Anyway, let's get on the bus, everybody. As everyone piled onto the bus, I somehow ended up sitting between Uraraka and Momo. Tsuyu and Ida were sitting across from us. Uraraka then snuggled up against me, which was weird, but I paid no attention to it. Momo slapped my back, which was weird, so I brought it up. Hey Momo, why did you slap me on the back? I was going to say something cool, but I forgot what it was, she said nervously. I shrugged it off. Tsuyu spoke up. I'm known for saying what's on my mind, but it seems you and Uraraka are close, Midoriya. I shook my head and opened my mouth just to be interrupted by Uraraka. Yeah, we sure are, isn't that right, Izuku? She screamed that out, so I had no choice but to reluctantly agreed, otherwise I would be a complete butt. Everyone on the bus gasped at our quick relationship and started to congratulate us, except Momo. She looked like she was in so much pain and heartache. I couldn't help but feel sad because I turned the love of my life away because of what Uraraka said. Damn it, Uraraka, you, psycho, I'm gonna break up with you right after the field trip. We arrived at our destination soon after that. We were instructed to go inside USJ and meet the teacher that was going to help us. So being the gentleman I am, I walked over to the doors of the USJ and held it open for everyone. I walked in after everyone else and noticed that we were being taught by the pro hero number 13. I wasn't really paying attention to their speech and was just looking around the USJ until something strange caught my eye. It was a tiny speck of purple in the center of the USJ. I kept my eyes on it as it grew to the size of a softball. Aizawa-sensei, 13-sensei, get the other students out of here. We'll be attacked by villains soon. Both the pro heroes were looking at me with worried glances on their faces until I pointed to the purple mass, which was as big as a human now. 13, do what he said. Midoriya, you come with me, but don't ask questions. Fine then. Ida, I want you to use your quirk and go to UA to alert the teachers that we're under attack just in case we can't get through to them. Ida did as I asked. He got out of the USJ as 4 figures walked out of the portal. One had hands all over their body, the other was purple and misty, one looked like a big F bird, and the last is what shocked me. It was Uraraka, but she was bound and tied up. I looked at the Uraraka with us as she slowly melted away, revealing that she was a blonde-haired girl with 2 messy buns in either side of her head. Hi Izuku, I'm Toga, but you can call me your baby. She then ran off into the center of the USJ. Kirishima tried to grab her, but she phased into a portal in the ground and appeared next to the villains. We are the League of Villains. We want to kill All Might, but as I can tell he's not here, which is a bummer. I guess we could just kill his students until he appears, said the man with hands with a murderous glare and intent. He was heading towards the real Uraraka with his hand outstretched. I felt like he could easily kill her, so I used my power to disappear and reappear right where I stood with Uraraka in my arms and the Handman in a crater. "Damn it, Shigaraki is already out of the game. Well, I guess I'll just have to split you up," said the Misty. A portal enveloped me and most of the students, which teleported them to different areas. I was sent to the landslide zone, but I was high up in the air. I fell to the ground and surprisingly was mostly unscathed. I stood up and brushed myself off. I noticed that there were a horde of villains surrounding something, so I ran to check it out. It was Momo, and she was fighting them off at dozens every moment. I jumped into the pit of villains and landed on one, knocking them out. "Sup," I said as Momo and the villains were surprised. Me and Momo then destroyed all of the villains, either knocking them out or disabling them. That's when I wanted to kill the villains. A portal opened up underneath Momo. It teleported her to the center of the USJ. She was held by Toga. That's when I noticed the bird monster was fighting Aizawa. It was completely one-sided. Aizawa was not going to win this battle. I rushed into the center of USJ and dealt with Aizawa and the bird monster. I pushed Aizawa-sensei out of the way of a devastating punch that sent me towards the wall. Oh look, someone trying to play hero can't even handle one of Numa's weak punches. Numa-ki. The Misty Man was cut short when he saw Numa was pinned to the ground. But how? Numa was made to handle All Might at 100%. There is no way that you're stronger than All Might. Maybe I'm not stronger than him. Maybe I am. I don't even know. The Numa broke out of the hold I had him in and punched me into the sky. Play the music to get pumped. I hit the ceiling. I pushed off the ceiling of the USJ to be sent into the ground, causing a massive shockwave which knocked everybody onto the ground. The Numu quickly recovered and ran at me. He caught me in a fist fight. Punches were thrown left and right, each side as powerful as the other. The punches were stopped when I threw a punch at his face, which momentarily stopped him. I then threw as many punches as I could into his body, effectively knocking him back and giving him no chance to recover. I'm sure you've heard these words before, but I'll say them again. Go beyond. I picked him up by the arm and started to swirl him, going far beyond the limits of my quirk. I shouted, "𝗕𝗫𝐻𝐿." I threw him towards the sun. After about 3 seconds, the sun burned Numo up. I collapsed onto the ground. Every bone in my body was broken. How did he beat the Numu? "Come on, Toga, bring the girl you have, but don't kill her." Toga nodded as she picked up Momo. "And oh, don't you dare take her. Take me instead," I pleaded with them. "Fine then." Toga dropped the girl and pick up the boy. "He'll be of more use to us anyway." Toga then picked me up and threw Momo to the ground. "Izuku," she cried with tears in her eyes. "Don't worry about me, I'll be fine, Momo." I gave her a thumbs up as I was dragged through the portal. He's gone. The person that I loved was gone. I want no need to save him. I honestly hope he's alright. All Might burst through the doors with the teachers of Yua. We were saved by them. They then questioned us, asking where Izuku was. I was the only one who knew where he was. I put a tracker onto his outfit right before we got to the USJ. "I'll only give you the tracker if I can go with you guys to save Izuku." The teachers reluctantly accepted my offer. When we were exiting the USJ, Todoroki came up to me and told me to meet him outside of the school. I did as he asked of me and found him against a wall nervously. "So Momo, I wanted to ask you something. Will you be my girlfriend?" I didn't know that Todoroki wanted to be with me, but I've been dreaming of being with Izuku, so I declined his request. I then went back inside of UA, prepared to save Izuku. "Don't worry, Izuku, I'm coming for you." I walked into the teacher's lounge ready to hear the game plan. "Don't be worried, Momo, I'll be fine," I said with confidence, but I knew deep down that I'd be killed or tortured. Then my head was enveloped in pain and everything went dark as I came to my head get like it split open. My eyes adjusted to the dark domain and I saw that I was bound up in a chair with a tray of dangerous weapons next to me. The door opened to reveal Toga. "Oh, Izuku, we're gonna have so much fun together," she sang the last part. She walked towards me and picked up a knife from the tray that was next to me. She twirled it between her fingers and threw it into the air. As the knife came down, she hit the hilt of the blade as hard as she could. She angled it to where it would pierce my stomach. I winced in pain, but she wasn't done. She took 3 more and threw them at both my shoulders and at my chest. It almost pierced my heart. I almost died because of her. Just how crazy is this beach? Sorry if offended. She then walked up to me and licked the side of my face. "Oh, you taste so delicious when you're frightened." I'm gonna keep this going until you agree to F me. To say the least, I was shocked. If anything, I was enraged by her words. First of all, why would I do it with a villain? And second of all, why wouldn't I do it with the person that I love? And never, I rasped out. So you can talk, good. She then took hold of my chin and kissed me on the lips. I was shocked that she stole my first kiss. I tried to pull my head away from the kiss, but I couldn't. Goddamn restraints. Looks like I robbed you of your first kiss, 𝗓𝗂𝘁. She was blushing and smiling like a maniac. She then picked up some more knives from the table and repeatedly stabbed me until there was a pool of blood that was bigger than I could imagine. I was slowly losing consciousness, but I heard a loud crash from outside the room and a faint, "I am here." Damn it, I wanted more time with you. I guess I'll cut this short. She pulled a needle from the tray and injected it into my neck. I was writhing in pain. What did Ия put into me? I managed to rasp out. She didn't answer me. The door crashed open and I saw an angel. "Izuku, are you okay?" shouted the angel. The angel then shined bright and smacked Toga against the wall with a metal bow staff. Toga was instantly knocked out. "It's gonna be alright, Izuku. It's gonna be alright." The angel started to cry as she released me from my restraints. Why are you crying, my angel? My vision started to fade, but I could hear her cry even harder. Don't worry, Izuku. I'll get you to safety." My angel then slung me over her arm and brought me outside to an ambulance. I was losing consciousness. "No, don't you dare die on me. I need you, Izuku. I love you." I refused to pass out on my angel. I focused all of my attention and my power on staying awake, 'cause I knew that if I passed out I would die. My angel brought me to the ambulance and I was loaded into it. She came along with me and held my hand the entire time we traveled to the hospital. I was slowly fading, but I had onto the last few embers of my life as hard as I could, but they were blown away by the cold winds of death. I held onto the last ember that I had with all my willpower. The darkness that consumed me became filled with the roar of life as my surroundings became filled with fire. I was amazed at the beauty of the fire. It was white and green fire dancing ever so beautifully. Then there was onyx black and red flames that appeared and intertwined with the green fire. The combined fire danced ever so beautifully. It was like the fires were meant for each other. That's when I lost consciousness and slipped into a slumber. 2 hours prior Momo's POV, I was in the teacher's lounge with all of the teachers and an old man. "So, Yaoyorozu, can you or can you not make the tracker?" asked Aizawa-sensei as he instantly got to the point. I nodded as I created the tracker and tuning it to the frequency of the tracker I put on him. It took a minute to pinpoint his exact location, which was 4.5 hours away. It's on the other side of Japan. I showed all the teachers the location of Izuku. "Young Midoriya, my boy, we're coming for you. Young Yaoyorozu, get on my back. We're going to get to Izuku faster if I run there." I was shocked that he chose me to come with him, but I disregarded it as I climbed onto his back. He punched a hole into the wall and jumped off with me. "Please be safe, Izuku." I could tell that All Might was getting exhausted because of all the running and jumping to the location of Izuku. After All Might stopped running, he emitted smoke and, poof, he was gone and replaced with a small emaciated man. I opened my mouth to say something but was cut off by the man. "Don't worry, it's me, All Might. I can't do hero work as long as I could before I got an injury that will prohibit my hero work in the future, so please just don't tell anyone about this." I nodded my head in response as we headed to the location by foot. After 30 minutes of running, we came across an abandoned building in the middle of the forest. All Might told me the plan of action. As soon as he busted a hole through the building, I was to run inside and try to find Izuku. All Might gave me a countdown with his fingers. 3, I'm coming, Izuku. 2, I hope you're not injured. 1, I will be your guardian angel. All Might busted the wall down. All the noises were drowned out as I ran into the building trying to find Izuku. I heard Toga's voice speaking to what seemed like Izuku. I ran into the room ready to protect Izuku. "Are you okay, Izuku?" I then created a metal bow staff and pushed Toga against the wall, knocking her out. I saw all the blood on the floor and the cuts that littered his body. I was in pain because of how damaged he was. Don't worry, Izuku, it's gonna be alright." I started to cry as I released him from his restraints. Why are you crying, my angel?" he rasped out surprisingly seductively. Did I hear him right? Did he just call me his angel? I started to cry even harder because of how delusioned he was. I heard the sound of sirens outside of the building. I slung Izuku over my shoulder as I spoke. Don't worry Izuku, I'll get you to safety. I knew that he most likely wouldn't make it out of this alive, but I had to believe in him. I could feel his grip on my shoulder loosen and I said what was on my mind. No, don't you dare die on me. I need you Izuku, I love you. I felt his grip on my shoulder tighten. I pulled him into an ambulance and rode along with him. As we arrived at the nearest hospital, I could tell that he was going to die if he wasn't healed right now. I was frightened that he might die in front of me. So I took the chance and kissed him on the forehead. He smiled subconsciously. A nurse then rushed in with a needle and thread and used his quirk to sew him up much faster. He staunched the bleeding and transfused some BLD into Izuku. I was told that he would be in a coma for who knows how long. I cried as I heard that he'll be gone for a year, maybe even longer. I'm so sorry for being weak Izuku. I cried into his chest and fell asleep waiting for him to wake up. 5 days later, Momo's POV. Ever since Izuku has been rescued, I've been worried he's been in a coma ever since I saved him. Every day I've checked on his status to see if he was awake. Sadly he hasn't awoken. I've always been sitting by his bedside every day hoping he'd be awake. Todoroki came by a couple of times to see if I'd reconsider his question. Each and every time he asked, I forced him out of the room saying that I didn't want to see him again. I've been talking to people less since he's been in his coma. I just wish that I could have been there for him. I've been at his bedside ever since last night. I was awake all night, so when morning came round I fell asleep. I felt something move beneath my legs and darted up. I put my hands on his chest. Izuku? I asked, choking back tears. I waited for 5 minutes for a response. I never got one, but I didn't give up hope on him. I put my head back down on his stomach and started talking to no one. I wish I could have been there for you. I wish I wasn't so weak. Because if I wasn't, then why you wouldn't be gone right now. I started sobbing into his stomach. I stopped sobbing and slowly looked up. Izuku, I'm back Momo, I'm finally back. I jumped onto him, giving him a huge hug that lasted for a while. I sobbed into the crook of his neck, finally glad that he was awake. Hey, you should stop crying, at least I'm here and injured, and not dead or something. That made me cry harder than before. Realizing what he said, he gripped me tighter. Izuku POV. I hugged Momo tighter than before as I instantly regretted what I said. I opened my closed eyes and looked into the corner of my room. There he stood facing the wall. I was frightened. He was in my dreams for the past 5 days that I've been in a coma. I still remember what he did in my dreams. He killed Momo a million different ways right in front of my face. Gore warning. The one death of hers that stuck in my head was when I was strapped down in a chair facing Momo, who was also in a chair. He forced us to play a sadistic game of cards, and whoever lost would get each body part cut off. At a time. I tried as hard as I could to lose, but I ended up winning the game even though I was meant to lose. I watched as he appeared out of the dark shadows of the room and cut off Momo's left pinky. BLD quickly pooled from the cut as her face flushed and she tried to scream. After he was done cutting off her fingers, he went to her toes and feet. I couldn't stand to watch it. Tut, 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 you know you can't do that Izuku, here let me help. I screamed as my eyelids were cut off so that I had to watch Momo slowly die. I wanted to kill the sorry 𝗵𝘃𝗏, but it was all futile seeing as I couldn't move. Once the get were cut off, he pointed my head down to the bloody stumps that were once her feet. This is what you get for loving another person. This is what a hero gets for loving another person, he exclaimed. I looked back up to Momo, who was sobbing. I wanted to help her and comfort her knowing that she will die, but I was unable to. Next were her arms. They were cut through with a saw. It was slow and agonizing to watch her die right in front of my eyes. The man kept going until the only part that was attached to her torso was her head. He then used his quirk and kicked her head clean off its body in my direction. Her head hit my body and hit the floor facing me. Her appealing onyx eyes were now pure white. Her mouth was left open in shock. I wanted to throw up as I saw my lover at my feet, limbless and decapitated, but I couldn't. I was then released from my restraints and was sent to live a free life. That's when I fell into a deep depression and tried killing myself, yet nothing worked. I had to live my life knowing that I wouldn't be able to love anyone else again. I snapped back into reality as Momo flicked me in the forehead. Are you alright, Izuku? She tilted her head to the right. I'm asking because you seem to be breathing oddly and completely in a daze. Why, yeah, I'm fine. She gave me a look that said, are you sure? I nodded. Hey Momo, why exactly am I here? She then filled me in on everything except the part where she saved me herself. Weird, I thought I was saved by an angel when I escaped. I remembered a glowing figure saving me when she brought up who saved me. She blushed to the point of no return. She started fuming out of her ears when she heard how I said what exactly saved me. She fainted soon after because of how much she was steaming out of her ears. I let her rest on my legs as I looked to the figure in the corner again. My breath hitched and my body turned as I looked at the man in my dreams. In all of the dreams he was in, I never got the chance to see his true face. Show yourself right now, or I swear to God I will blow you away, I said with a false confidence. Haha, I knew you would try and say that, you quirkless piece of... I looked at the man in the corner, frightened. I only knew of one man who had said that to me with that amount of insincerity in his voice, and it wasn't 𝗂𝐽𝐻. The figure turned around and said, it's been so many years, my dear little useless son. It was my dad. I looked at the man in the corner, frightened. I only knew of one man who had said that to me with that amount of insincerity in his voice, and it wasn't 𝗂𝐽𝐻. The figure turned around and said, it's been so many years, my dear little useless son. It was my dad. Present time. Why are you here? I was shaking, not with fear, but with anger for what he did to 𝗵𝗲 he did to my mom. He walked towards me until he was a foot away. I wanted to get up and punch him till he died so bad. He will die for his sins. Tisk. My poor little Izuku, I'm not here. His skin started to melt and peel away. His body started to grow and turn black. He was a demon, my demon. He sprouted horns from the top of his head and started to be engulfed in flames. I'm just a part of your delusions. He stomped his foot on the ground, opening a fissure to hell. My entire body was being licked by green and blue flames, yet I felt nothing. I hit the hell ground with a thud. I looked at my surroundings but saw nothing but Momo and my demon of a dad. I started to get up, but the ground suddenly erupted with chains. They wrapped around my body and locked me up onto a wall. My dad grabbed Momo by the head. He exerted some pressure on her head. Her skull started cracking and breaking until my dad released his grip. Her body fell to the ground with a thud. She was dead. You piece of... I'll kill you. As the chains released my body as my father disappeared, I ran to her body hoping that she was still alive even if she would die. I grabbed her in my arms and checked if she was still breathing. She was breathing, but hardly. She uttered 3 words with the last of her breath. I love you. Her head drooped as gray matter oozed out of it. I cried and screamed in agony. I screamed craving revenge. I screamed with bloodlust. I want no need to make him pay. Momo POV. I was sleeping peacefully on Izuku's legs when I heard him screaming. The sudden shock made me jump out of his bed and onto the floor. I regained my footing and looked at him. He was clutching his chest and crying like he lost something close to him. His eyes were still closed and he was still screaming. I was heartbroken. The man that I loved was screaming and crying for a reason I had no idea about. I shuffled towards him. I fell onto him in a hug. Everything's alright. I'm here, Izuku. I'm here for you, I whispered into his ear while stroking his hair, calming him down. He opened his eyes and stopped screaming. Momo, he whispered. I'm here for you, Izuku. I started to cry knowing that he was screaming and crying for me. Izuku wrapped his arms around me and started to squeeze. Please don't ever leave me. I need you, Momo, he started sobbing. It took us a couple of minutes to calm down enough to start speaking to each other. What happened that made you scream like that? I asked. Silence, Izuku. Still silence. I shook his arm gently. Izuku. Even more silence. I picked up his head and looked into his pain-torn eyes. He was crying silently. He really didn't want to make me concerned over his well-being. I broke my gaze and looked towards the ground. It's okay if you do. And no, I have to tell you. I thought lost you. My heart sank and tears welled up in my eyes. I was shocked to hear that come out of his mouth. What? Why would he say that? And why did he think that I died? Who did this to him? I looked into his eyes to see pain and tears. I put my hand behind his neck and brought him closer to my face until I could only see his eyes. He gazed at me lovingly and closed his eyes. After a bit, I followed pursuit and put my forehead against his. His jaw moved, but I couldn't hear what he said since he mumbled. "Excuse me, what did you just say?" "I couldn't hear you since you mumbled," I said while still pressing my forehead against his. He pulled out of the hug. He was brushing his hair sheepishly and blushing. I said, "I love you," he said without stuttering. I looked at him with a gaze that said, "I do too." I then closed the gap between us and kissed him on the lips. He kissed me back even harder than I did. It was passionate, to say the least. We broke for a breath after at least 50 seconds of kissing. "So what does this make us?" I asked. "Well, it makes us a couple." I smiled at him and held his hand. "If you ever need me or someone to talk to, I'll be here. I'll always be here for you," I said, putting my head up against his chest. He stroked my hair gently. This continued on for 40 minutes until a nurse came in to examine Izuku. She told him to lift his shirt so she could make sure he breathed correctly. He lifted his shirt and I caught a glimpse of his six-pack. My nose started bleeding and I started to steam from my ears. I had to calm down fast or I would faint. I plugged my nose and looked away, trying not to think about his six-pack. Must not think about his six-pack. And like that, my nose became a faucet of BLD. I fainted. Izuku POV. After fixing my girlfriend's nosebleed, I looked into the same corner my dad was in earlier to see him again. I didn't address him because I thought that would make me have another delusion. After the examination, I was cleared to go home, so I picked up Momo and carried her like a bride to her house. After 10 minutes of jumping and running, I made it to her house. I got up to the door and was met with who I assumed to be her father. "Hello, Mr. Yaozu, I'm here to drop off your daughter," I said to him. He was baffled and had no idea what was going on until I placed Momo in his arms and ran off back to my house. I was at my house within 5 minutes. I knocked on the door. My mom answered the door reluctantly. She peered her head through the door and saw me. "Izuku, I'm so glad you're safe," she hugged me. "We have a guest over, so come say hi to him." Him. My mom led me to the front room. There sat a sickly, tall, blonde man. He looked ready to spit up what he was drinking in surprise. He got up and bowed. "Hello, my name is Yagi Toshinori. It is nice to meet you, Izuku." He looked fairly familiar, like he was no way. Is this man in my living room actually All Might? "Izuku, why is he here, mother?" I asked, genuinely wondering why a person who seemed like All Might was in my living room. "Izuku. If I have to answer your question, he's a friend that I made. I'll spare you the details of how we met, but don't be rude to a guest of this house." How did I get her that worked? Did I make her mad by asking why he was in the room? I headed to my room waving it off. While doing nothing, I dozed off. I woke up in hell. I was chained up against the same wall as earlier and witnessed Momo die again. The same events happened, but I didn't scream. I prayed for her safety in the afterlife and went off on a journey to find my father and kill him. After several hours of wandering aimlessly, I was attacked by demons that worked for my father. They overpowered me easily. They snapped my neck in the dream. I woke up in a cold sweat and hitched breath. After calming down from my death in the dream, I found out it was 4 a.m. I decided to stay up and wait for school to start so I could head over there. I was informed via email last night that school would start the day after I got out of the hospital. Once it hit 5 a.m., I got ready for school. I showered, got dressed, made breakfast, brushed my teeth, and went on my phone till I had to leave for school. I jumped to school and made it 20 minutes before the bell, so I just waited for Momo to get there. After waiting for 5 minutes or so, Momo walked into the room. "Good morning, Momo." "Good morning to you too, Izuku. By the way, did you drop me off at home?" I nodded and she sighed. "What's wrong?" "No wonder he's so angry. What exactly did you do when you dropped me off at home?" I was confused by her question since I literally did nothing. "I only dropped you off at your house." Third-person POV. Yaozu mansion. Mr. Yaozu was in his mansion when the doorbell rang. He got up to answer his guest as his butler opened it up and let the number 2 hero into his house. Momo POV. I was questioning Izuku about what he did when he dropped me off at my house when I felt a pair of eyes burn into the back of my head. I glanced behind me and noticed Todoroki was staring at me like he wanted me or something. "Hey, Todoroki, it isn't polite to stare at people," Izuku said, pissed off that someone was making me uncomfortable. Todoroki glared at Izuku and then looked away. I opened my mouth to continue speaking to Izuku, but Aizawa-sensei walked in through the door. Next week we will be holding our annual sports festival. Every basic heroics class after today will be used to train your quirks and try to make them stronger before another incident happens. He stared at Izuku during the last part. I couldn't blame him. I mean, Izuku got kidnapped and almost died, so he left the classroom when he heard our BH teacher's footsteps from down the hall. I am walking through the door like a normal person. Izuku POV All Might walked through the door and towards the teacher's podium in a very unhuman-like way. Every step that he took he bounced and extended his leg in front of him. Once he got to the podium he spoke up. So today we will be having hero training in training field Gamma. You will all put on your hero costumes and meet me there. He clicked a button on a remote and the wall opened up with briefcases of our hero costumes that some of us wore to the USJ and some of us who didn't wear them. I grabbed my briefcase and headed to the training room. I took off my shirt and heard a voice. You should just die, you useless piece of SHT. Who said that? It couldn't be been Kaken, since he isn't in here. Yo dude, where did you get that scar on your back? Pointed out Kirishima. Huh, what scar? What do you mean, shit nerd? There's a huge but scar on your back, Kaken said as he walked into the changing room. I walked towards a mirror in the room and turned around only to see a scar that was the size of my shoulder blade and across my lower back. I see what you mean. I sweat dropped. F in shit nerd, Kaken said. I then got changed into my American-styled hero outfit and headed to the training field where All Might was. I was the first to arrive. I took every detail of All Might in and noticed that him and Toshinori from last night both had blonde hair with the little bangs. So All Might, if I may ask, is your name by any chance Toshinori Yagi? All Might's sweat dropped but kept up the facade. What do you mean, my boy? I haven't heard that name in my entire life. That's weird. Both you and Yagi have the same hair, color, and the bang thing with your hair. He then coughed out BLD in shock and emitted smoke from his body. Once the smoke dispersed, Yagi stood there. Huh, I knew you were him. Now, if you're going to date my mom, do not break her heart, or else I'll break you. Yagi blushed like a tomato when he heard he could be the boyfriend to the most wonderful person in the world, but that happiness soon turned to fright at the sudden mood change from Izuku. Why yes, young Midoriya? Good, now I think you should return to being All Might before the class comes. I pointed my thumb to the tunnel I came out of. There were 3 students going through it. All Might panicked and quickly transformed back into his hero form. Also, can I ask what happened to your body after we do this exercise? All Might just nodded. As the students poured in from the tunnel, I found that Momo was still not here. She must be the last one to get ready. I then counted the number of students that were here and counted 2 missing, Momo and Todoroki. What the hell does he think he's doing with my girlfriend? I was starting to stomp towards the tunnel to search for Momo when I heard the slight clanking of shoes against the ground. Momo came out of the tunnel a minute later. Sorry I'm late everyone, I had a bit of difficulty putting my costume on. Even though I've already seen her in that costume once, I got a nosebleed. I pinched the bridge of my nose to stop it when I saw a flash of light come from Momo. She offered me a tissue. Thanks Momo. Anything for my Zuzu. I blushed at the nickname she already came up with for me. Wow, the hero course is so cool, I heard a voice say. I looked towards the origin of the noise and saw Mineta looking at Uraraka and Momo lustfully, causing them to cover their bodies with their arms. I walked over to the pint-sized runt and put my hand over his head. I picked him up and put him over my head as I readied a kick that would punt him into a building. As I let go of him, I kicked and hit him right in the ball again. He was then launched into the 4th-story window of a surrounding building, causing the girls to uncover their bodies. All Might then cleared his throat and explained the exercise that we would do, but I looked at a figure that was standing around the corner of a building to my left. I didn't bring the topic up because it was most likely my dad, and if I did acknowledge it I would most likely have another delusion and a panic attack. I started paying attention when he announced who I would be with, which was Momo. I stopped paying attention to him and gazed lovingly at Momo. How did I score someone as appealing as her? She's a literal goddess, and I'm an unworthy peasant at her feet. I stopped thinking about her when All Might announced the team we would be going against on a projection board. I then searched for our team, which was Team A. After 30 seconds I found out who we were fighting. We were fighting the 2nd and 3rd best students in the classroom. Shudo Todoroki and Katsuki Bakugu. I gulped, knowing that this could be a tough battle for the strongest person in the class. Izuku POV. Our group was meant to go first. We were the heroes and Bakugo and Todoroki were the villains for this battle. So, Izuku, do you have any plans for how to take them down? I pondered her question down as I started mumbling. Well, I don't know what Todoroki's quirk is, but from the damage he caused at the USJ, I'd have to say it's some ice manipulation quirk. I don't really know the details of it. I continued on as Momo started to look worried. Izuku. I felt a tap on my shoulder. Yes. Hey, are you alright? Damn, old habits really do die hard. Yeah, it's just a thing I thought I stopped doing. She nodded her head. So I don't really know what to do about Todoroki, but leave Kaken to me. He will only focus on me. Soya, I said, scratching the back of my head. Oh, okay, how about we? She whispered the rest into my ear. What a great plan to take of Todoroki. Hero team, you may now advance. We then went into the building, enacting the plan instantly. I tried pushing the doors of the building open, but they were frozen shut by presumably ice. I used my quirk and punched the door open. The door flew across the hallway and hit the opposing wall, breaking the ice that was covering it. I walked into the building first with Momo at my stead. We continued up 3 floors without any interruptions from either of the 2 strongest. I heard a faint set of footsteps coming down the stairs that were next to us. I pushed Momo against the wall that was beside the stairs and waited for the runner come round the corner. A tuft of blonde hair appeared around the corner. I ready to punch, but Katsuki was faster than I was. I sent my punch towards him, but he sidestepped it and grabbed my arm. He then forced all of his weight into one foot. He used the other foot to sweep me off my feet and threw me over his shoulder and into a jagged piece of ice. I bounced off the floor and coughed up blood. I looked towards the stairs and saw Momo heading up them. What are you doing, shitnerd? Pay attention to the fight. Katsuki sent a blast towards my chest. This is going to be a tough fight. Momo P. Don't hurt yourself too badly, Izuku, I thought as I ran up the stairs leading to the 5th floor. I walked into a room that was completely iced over when I stopped. Demon, that ignorant fool, for taking away my Momo. He'll seriously pay for taking the love of my Lee. I know you're here. So come on out, Momo. How did he know I was in the room with him? I slowly walked out from the pillar I was behind. Break up with Izuku or I'll do it forcefully. He just went 0 to 1000 real quick. Does he actually think I'd abandon Izuku for him that easily? How about no? Why would I abandon him that easily? I asked him, clearly outraged. Fine, then I'll make you mine. Todoroki exclaimed as he sent a wave of ice towards me. I was shocked at the speed of the wave of ice that I barely had any time to dodge it. You better pay attention, he said. I was confused on what I should be paying attention to when it hit McQueen literally. He was using his quirk to send a trail of ice that was unnoticeable until it was close to you. He then encased me in ice, leaving only my head and shoulders free. Now it's time to take my prize, Todoroki said as he slowly walked towards me. He was inches from my face. His hot breath rasped my face as I tried to shuffle backwards for nothing to happen. Don't struggle, my dear, you'll be mine soon. He closed his eyes and brought his face closer to mine. I was in despair. No, I can't do this to Izuku. His lips were almost brushing mine when the ground started to shake and I heard a voice in my ears. Izuku, don't worry, Kaken, I will give you a proper fight, I said as I rose from the ground, cracking my neck in the process. Oh yeah, shitnerd, the F dodge this. Kaken then reached for the pin on his grenade-shaped gauntlet. I realized what it was used for and rushed towards him to break the gauntlet. You're too late, Deku. He pulled the pin on his gauntlet. I will never let you shoot that gauntlet. I pumped all of my power into my legs and became faster than before. In the blink of an eye, I was in front of Kaken. I then delivered a roundhouse kick to his gauntlet, causing it to shatter in 1,000 pieces. Hey, you but, he screamed while clutching his forearm because it too was shattered. I then sent a kick to his side, causing him to fly into the wall. He was absorbed into the wall and knocked out. That takes care of him. I turned my earpiece on. Hey Momo AR, don't struggle, my dear, you'll be mine soon. That BS Todoroki, I swear to F God I'll kill him. I was engulfed in anger and stomped my foot into the ground, forgetting that all of the power I had was in my legs. The whole building shook. You know better, Izuku, you know that I appear when you use your quirk, so why use it? Said the demonic figure in the outskirts of my vision. Momo, are you alright? I said, completely disregarding my inner demon. And now I am. Thanks Izuku. Before you ask, I'm on the 5th floor. I then jumped through the ceiling in the 3rd floor with enough power to get to the 5th floor in a jump. Hey Momo, I said bursting through the ground. Momo was shocked at how fast I was to get to her. You 𝗵𝗃, how dare you harass Momo? I lunged at him ready to kill him in a single punch. Izuku, don't you dare hurt him beyond repair. Momo said sternly. I was on top of him. When he tried punching me, I grabbed his fist in midair and sent my other arm crashing into his face. Izuku, what did I just say? Don't worry, I only hit him with enough force to knock him out. You know that I wouldn't kill anyone, baby, I said sweetly. Well, not until he wakes up at least. I personally took Todoroki to the nurse's office, so that when he woke up he would be put right back down. Once I got to the nurse's office with Todoroki, recovery girl healed him. Don't be rough with him once he wakes up, or I will punish you. Reminder, do not get on recovery girl's bad side, or else. Well, there went my plans to beat him up after he was healed. Guess I'll just go see how Momo is doing. I then went to the recording area. I opened the door and everyone gathered at the door. I was receiving looks of envy and lust and I wondered why. Momo came up to me and created a new outfit for me. What's this for? I asked. She then looked down at my chest and stomach region. I looked down with slight confusion on my face. My upper body was exposed in either small cuts and/or large holes because of Katsuki and Todoroki. I blushed hard and took the upper part of my uniform covering my body. The looks of lust went away, but the faces of the envious men still stayed until someone spoke up. Midoriya, what you did back there was so manly, exclaimed Kirishima. Then the entire class started speaking or screaming. Yeah, I bet you could take on All Might, 𝗧𝗏. You saved Momo 𝗓𝗏, and you single-handedly took down the top 2 strongest classmates in our class Ida. Too bad you aren't dating anyone, 'cause I would totally date you, said Mina sadly. I looked down at my feet and blushed. They have no clue that I've been dating Momo. Maybe I could tell them. I looked up from my feet and to Momo. I asked her if I could tell with my eyes and she nodded. I am already taken, I said with a slight stutter. Really who? Said Mineta obnoxiously. I went towards him again and bent down to his height. Don't ever doubt what I say again or you. He nodded his head rapidly and I smiled at him. If you must know, I'm dating Momo. Everyone became ecstatic again, especially the girls. Since when did this happen? Shouted Mina. Since he woke up from his mini coma, Momo said calmly. Ahem, if you don't mind, who do you think was the MVP in the match between young Midoriya's team and young Bakugo's team? It was most certainly Midoriya, Momo said. He took down both villains, he captured them without too much damage, and he saved his teammate from being captured. You would be correct, young Yaoyorozu. Now the next set of teams will head to their building and start preparing, said All Might. I was packing up when Momo stood in front of my desk. Izuku, I wanted to ask you something. What is it, Momo? I asked as I got up from my seat. I wanted to know if you want to meet my parents tonight. She asked as she twiddled her thumbs nervously. I'd love to. I enthusiastically stated, which made her perk her head up. Okay then, let's go. I put her on my back and started walking to her home. As we got to her home, she hopped off my back. Wait here, she said, as if I'd be going anywhere, I said as she blushed. She stepped into her home and after about a minute later she signaled me to come inside, so I did. Mom, Dad, I'd like you to meet my boyfriend, Izuku Midoriya. I walked into her house when she said my name. It's nice to meet you, Mr. and Mrs. Yaoyorozu, I said while bowing. Oh my, what great manners this boy has. I'm Athena Yaoyorozu and this is my husband Atlas Yaoyorozu, but you caught us at a bad time. This had me confused. May I ask why? Atlas looked at me with a look of either hatred, compassion, or both. Well, if you must know, I made an arrangement with the number 2 hero. To have his son and my daughter be married to each other. This had me outraged, so I'm afraid that as of now Shudo Todoroki is her new boyfriend and future husband. Now if you will, please get out of my house. One of his butlers came around the corner and started to lead me out of the door. Please listen to my offer, Mr. Yaoyorozu. It will only take up a minute of your time. Fine if you must, just go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Yaoyorozu. I will make a deal with you. If I win the UA Sports Festival and come in first for all the events, then you will call off the marriage between Momo and Shudo, and if I lose, I will stay away from your daughter for as long as I live. You won't ever see my face again." Momo was completely taken aback from her dad marrying her off, until I said that. "Izuku, you can't do that for me," she exclaimed. "But I have to do this. If I want to be with you, I have to do this," I said as I grasped her hands in mine. "Fine, I will stay true to the deal, except if you lose, you will leave." I gulped from the severity of Atlas's voice. "I'm fine with that, sir." "Okay, now leave my house. You and Momo are not dating anymore," he said as he looked to his daughter, "and you will not see Izuku until the sports festival, which if I'm not mistaken is 2 weeks away." Momo looked to me for guidance and I only nodded. "Thank you for giving me the chance to do this, Mr. Yaoyorozu. I will be taking my leave now." I walked out of Momo's home and jumped off to the forest where I train. If I'm going to win this, I'm going to win it without a quirk to make Atlas recognize me as a great boyfriend for his daughter. "Don't worry, Momo, I will win and keep you away from Shuto," I said aloud as I flew to forest. I was in my training area for 2 weeks. I lived in the forest capturing and killing my food most nights, and training the days away. Every day I woke up and ran the perimeter of the forest twice, did 700 sit-ups, push-ups, squats, and other exercises. In the forest I trained in hand-to-hand combat against a training bag that I made myself. It was made out of a flexible steel alloy. I discovered my body's limits when I'm not using my quirk. Currently, if I didn't use my quirk, I could break my extremely strong punching bag in one punch. I also discovered a special technique that I was going to use against Shuto if I fight him. "Don't worry, Momo, your guardian is coming to win you back." Third person Izuku Midoriya has come back from training after 2 weeks to fight in the annual UA Sports Festival. "I have to win today." Izuku held his hand out in front of him and clenched his fist, for Momo. Izuku then walked onto the field joining up with the rest of his classmates. They were shocked to see him as they thought he would drop from it. "Midoriya, why are you here? I heard that you were going to drop." And other similar things came from the mouths of most of 1A's students. The only people that were quiet were Todoroki, Momo, and Katsuki. Katsuki knows that I wouldn't pass up a chance to be labeled as the strongest student in class. Momo obviously knows why I wouldn't drop, and Todoroki most likely told them that I would drop out, thought Izuku. "So Midoriya," started Momo, "are you ready for the festival?" "I most certainly am ready to win the festival," Izuku stayed with confidence lining his voice. Todoroki walked in between Momo and Izuku. "You should talk to your own girlfriend, and not someone else's," he said as he got up in Izuku's face. His voice was filled with venom. Izuku got close enough to Todoroki where only he could hear what he said. "She will not be your girlfriend after today. After today she'll be with who she wants to be with," Izuku stated. "Izuku, I will destroy your bloodline, Todoroki." I was ready to beat his but for being so arrogant. Typical of him, but to have a bastard of a son. I was going to say something to Todoroki, but Miss Midnight was down introducing all of the first years. "Will our first-year representative Izuku Midoriya come to the stage to give an athlete's oath and a small speech?" My class pushed me on towards the stage. As I got on it, I took the mic from Midnight. "If you want to be first place in the festival, then you better think twice. 'Cause, I gave the mic to Midnight as everyone booed me. "Midoriya, what you did was rude and unforgiving. Why would you do that?" demanded Iida as he robotically moved his arms. "Simple, it was to make everyone perform at their best. I was ready to take on the first event, which was, the first event for the sports festival is an obstacle course. Now go take your places at the starting line." I was at the very back of everyone for the race. It wasn't like I had to, I wanted to. 3:21 go, and with that I jumped onto the ceiling of the tunnel. I dug my fingers into the ceiling and started swinging forward with them. That is some whack but monkey strength right there. As soon as I was out of the tunnel, I touched the ground. I charged up my power to start running, but my legs suddenly felt numb. I looked down at the ground to see everything that was below my waist was coated in ice. How annoying. You think that some simple ice would stop me. "You really are a fool, Todoroki." I laughed mischievously. I focused all of my natural power into my arms and flicked the ice around me. The flick then caused the ice to splinter and break all around me. Because you haven't seen anything yet, I was determined to ice this fool and win back my girlfriend. For the first time in the past 2 weeks I used my quirk. This right here, this is something that I've missed. I then ran at my top speed. After about 5 minutes of non-stop running, I came to a minefield. I decided to take a mine straight from the ground and throw it behind me. I used my quirk to make my eyesight much greater. In the far distance I saw Todoroki riding on a wave of ice. Well, someone has to do this, I guess it'll be me, I said with a wide grin on my face. I somehow hurled the mine directly at Todoroki. It hit him square in the chest, causing him to fly in the air and then fall. I was ecstatic that I took him down. I guess I should continue with the race, I said to myself. I then ran through all of the mines and passed by them before they could explode. Soon after that I crossed the finish line. I jumped up to the announcer's booth and entered it. Yo, can you not tell them that I took first place, thanks? I popped my head out of the doorway and jumped off to run the obstacle course again to make it seem like I came in last position. As the last runner came in, I kicked up my running speed to my maximum speed. Look at the dumbass, he said he would get first place in the festival, but look where that big mouth got him. It got him in last place, and it makes me able to date Momo properly. Ha! I wouldn't speak so soon if I were you, Todoroki. This was the first time that 𝐭𝐿 defended me from someone else. Oh 𝐭𝐿, I didn't think you could be so soft, said Kirishima. Shut up, shitty hair. Calm down, it's not bad to be nice. In fact, I think it's manly, Kirishima said, posing like Red Riot. Here are the results for the first event for the festival. In third place we have Katsuki Bakugo. Todoroki had a look of confusion. In second place, we have Shudo Todoroki. And finally in first place, we have Izuku Midoriya. Todoroki glared at me. I smiled at him and gave him a peace sign, knowing that would PSS him off even further. I'm pretty sure most of you know the explanation for the cavalry battle, so I'll skip those. Since I was at the top of the leaderboard in points, I decided that I wouldn't partner up with anyone. The cavalry battle will start now. Everybody on the field started to run towards me in order to get the 10 million points that was on my forehead. Todoroki and his group were the first to reach for my headband, but I just planted my feet into the ground and let them take it. That was easy to take, a bit too easy, I heard Todoroki say as he sped off. I guess you were right, Todoroki. I disappeared. It was too easy, I said as I took back my headband and backhanded Todoroki across the field. I saw Iida use his Recipro burst to catch Todoroki before he hit the ground. Next to come at me was Team 𝗬𝗁𝗏𝗏𝗏. That was too easy to take care of. The event was nearing the end, so the two pests rushed me on both sides. I will take first place, both Todoroki and 𝐭𝐿 said on either side of me. Heh, too easy. I jumped into the air and let both teams crash into each other. The next event, which was one-on-one battles, were gonna be tough. My first opponent is someone known as Shinso, my second would obviously be Iida, my third would be 𝐭𝐿, and my last would be Shudo if I was correct in my calculations. My fight would be the opening fight, so I decided to go to the field and start stretching and getting ready. Izuku POV. I was stretching on the open field waiting for my first opponent to show up. Will Shinso please come to the arena for your battle? You have 10 minutes. I waited for him to appear from his hallway to stop stretching. So Midoriya, are you everything I hear about from Class 1A, or will you crumble? He obviously think he can beat me. If so, then what's his quirk? Can he brainwash me or something? I'll have to fight him to find out. Let the battle commence, announced Midnight Sensei. So how does it feel to be born with such an amazing quirk? Must be effin' great, Shinso said from his corner. I can't move my body, what's going on? Now make this match easy and walk out of the arena, Shinso commanded. My body was still standing where I stopped. My body tensed up and my breathing became erratic. He showed up again. Hello my son, how are you doing? I can see that you can't move, the demon spoke. All the more perfect, he roared out. Please let me move. I thought as my demon came closer and touched my head, I could start to feel my consciousness fade from existence. I looked towards the crowd trying to get anyone to help me, but it was futile. You should stop struggling, Izuku, soon you'll die thanks to me. My eyes landed upon the one that I loved. Momo, I'm sorry that I won't be there with you, and I heard another voice say. You cannot give up, don't let him get the better of you, you're stronger than him. So fight Izuku, fight off your demons. My body tended up until the point where I could finally move. I willed my fist to punch me in the face to snap me out of this. I felt the impact of a fist in my face. I was back in reality. How did you do that? Shinso asked. Sheer willpower, I responded. You are an idiot. My quirk has AF. He was thrown out of the arena by a well-placed punch to the solar plexus. You're the idiot for believing I would fall under your control again. I went over to him and offered him my hand. Why are you helping me? Is it out of pity? I saw his eyes tear up as he slapped my hand away. You know the correct answer to that yourself. I walked off of the field. And by the way, they aren't cheering for me. I left him with time to process what I just said. I sat in the stands watching the last fight of the first set. It was between Momo and 𝗵𝗃𝗁𝗍𝗂𝐻𝑖. So far Momo was having a tough time battling against the Vine user. She was against the edge of the arena when I cheered her on. I know you can win, Momo, so do it. Todoroki shot glares filled with venom at me, but I didn't care. I needed Momo to win this fight, since it would be sad to watch my girlfriend lose in the first round. Momo's quirk started to activate. A small flash of light in the shape of a sword came out of her body. She pulled out a machete and started to cut at the vines 𝗵𝗃 was producing. After a bit, Momo made it to 𝗵𝗃 and kicked her out of the arena. Momo won her first match. I was on the field once again and I was prepared to fight Iida. Iida, I called out to him. You ready for a good match? Of course I am, Midoriya. I expect you to not hold anything back when fighting me. Course not. Let the battle commence. As Midnight finished saying that, Iida raced towards me with a mighty kick. He made contact with my body, but I grabbed his leg and planted my feet into the ground. I used the momentum of his kick to spin him around and throw him towards the boundaries. He was about to leave the arena when he used a 𝗔𝗫𝗄𝗃 burst to fly towards me. I disappeared and reappeared in front of him to counter his kick with a kick of my own. 𝗔𝗫𝗄𝗃 burst tornado kick. We were suspended in the air for a few moments, when a sudden burst of wind came from the collision of kicks and blew most of the audience out of their seats. It also sent Iida flying into the sky just like Mineta that one time. I landed on the ground and Midnight announced me as the winner, but since Iida would die if I didn't catch him, I jumped off before she could announce it. Iida was still flying in the air when I caught up to him. Why need help getting down? I shouted to him. I would very much like that. He was now falling at a rate that continued to increase. I couldn't catch him in this jump, so I landed on the city floor and jumped up in the air to catch him like a bride. Don't get any funny ideas. I landed on the ground with him and jumped back to the sports festival. Third-person POV. After Izuku dropped off Iida at the infirmary since his leg was completely broken, Izuku went off to watch the oncoming battle, which would be Todoroki versus Momo. No offense to my girlfriend, but she will lose to Todoroki since he can freeze her like he did to 𝗂𝗏, Izuku thought as he waited for the battle to start. Let the match commence. Midnight cheered. Todoroki did exactly what he did with 𝗂𝗏, but it was significantly weaker than normal. Momo was out for the match, so because she was frozen, Todoroki went over to her and stole a kiss from her. She was shocked, the crowd was shocked, but most importantly, Izuku was shocked, well, more like pissed off, or so mad that he would snap Todoroki like a toothpick. Todoroki, you goddamn b. I will end you after today and send you straight to hell myself. Izuku was about to punch the nearest object when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned around to see Kakin in his face. Save your anger for your fight with him, if you even make it that far, he said arrogantly, but he knew what he was doing. He was pumping Izuku up for the next two fights he would be in. He reluctantly jumped into the arena with Kakin on his back ready for the next battle, but first he had to do something. He went over to the glacier that was slowly diminishing thanks to Todoroki and sent a punch at it. He stopped his fist an inch away from it, causing the wind force from the punch to shatter the ice into tiny pieces and sent it flying into the air. So awesome, or so pretty, were the common comments Izuku heard from the crowd because of the falling ice that glittered in the sky, causing a snowstorm of sorts. Since both competitors are here for the next match, we will start the battle once the last fight's participants get off of the field. You better give it your all, shit nerd, Katsuki said to Izuku. Obviously, I don't have but things like Todoroki. The battle may now start. Izuku ran towards Kakin without using his quirk and sent a kick flying at Bakuga's head. Kakin ducked under the kick and threw an explosive punch to Izuku's punch, which knocked him off balance. Nice one, Izuku started, but you're gonna have to try harder than that. Izuku was above Kakin in an instant and was ready to punch him into the ground, but Izuku noticed something. Kakin was facing him and holding in semi-closed hand over an open palm. AP shot. Kakin shouted, The focused explosion flung Izuku into the air, almost knocking him out of bounds. In the middle of his flight, Izuku regained control and flicked himself towards the arena and towards Bakugo. Asteroid impact. Izuku threw his strongest punch at Bakugo but stopped an inch away from him as to not kill him. But Katsuki had other plans. He was going to use his ultimate move that he's been working on since he was little, 𝗬𝗪𝗓 impact. Because of the big explosion from Katsuki and the huge amount of air pressure from Izuku, the arena exploded, which sent the two boys flying out of it and hitting the walls. There was a huge amount of smokescreen covering the battlefield. Because of that, the results for who won the battle were inconclusive. And the winner of the battle is, the smokescreen cleared up. Izuku was standing tall and proud with his fist raised into the air while Katsuki was slumped against the other wall. He was completely knocked out. Izuku Midoriya is the victor of the battle. Izuku's knees then buckled and he fell face first into the ground. Izuku I woke up to bright lights overhead. Where am I? I sat up and looked around. Guess I'm just in the infirmary, whelp, I said as I got out of bed. Time to fight Todoroki. As I walked out of the room, my head started to P&D and I closed my eyes. When I reopened them, all I could see was my demonic father. He was everywhere that I could see, and every single one of them were killing a Momo with me watching her die. Just like my dream, I want to stay here and feel pathetic, but I can't. I have to fight. I paid no attention to what was going on before my eyes and started to head towards the arena. You know, I'm surprised I got out of there. I ran into someone that felt muscly and big. I opened my eyes and looked up to see the number 2 pro hero Endeavor. What are you doing, you runt? Geez, would it hurt to show the least bit of compassion? And also, my name's not Runt, it's Izuku Midoriya, you flaming piece of... Do you want to say that again, you runt? He said as he stood taller than he normally was in order to intimidate me. Yeah, I will. I called you a flaming piece. Now if you don't mind, I have to go fight your son in the next fight. I pushed him out of my way with ease. I could literally hear his blood boil from where I stood. After a few minutes of navigating the halls, I found the tunnel I was meant to exit to fight Todoroki. And here comes the undefeated, the invincible, Izuku Midoriya, shouted Midnight into her mic. Midnight-sensei, please don't call me any of those. I really don't deserve any titles, I said sheepishly. Guess I still have the tendencies to be nervous. I directed all of my attention to Shudo. Are you ready to lose, UB? As if you'd be able to beat me. He was cocky, and I was stubborn. In fact, I was too stubborn to lose to him. Let the final match begin. Immediately Todoroki sent a wave of ice covering me in a glacier. Does this mean I win? He said in his usual monotone voice. I guess. Boom. Pieces of ice were scattered across the arena. You'll have to try harder if you want to win, Todoroki. I was assaulted by more waves of ice by him. But every time he threw a wave, I countered it back with a wind pressure punch, completely breaking it. After a while his attacks slowed down and his left side was becoming frostbitten. You should use your other quirk. I mean, you might die from frostbite, Todoroki, but hey, must as well die a cold-hearted 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗏 than a 𝗵𝘃𝗧𝗏 with a flaming one, I said, knowing exactly what would happen. Fire lit up the arena, almost covering every inch of it. All right, now I got to Fayak. I felt something sharp pierce my torso. I looked down to see a gigantic spike of ice ripping through my entire left side of my body. I coughed up blood and felt my consciousness start to fade. I looked Todoroki right in his eyes. Why would you do that? You should know why. The worst thing was that the arena was completely engulfed in fire, so no one could see in or out of it. I guess I'm gonna die here, I grasped my head. I need to beat him. For vengeance, for honor, for Momo, I screamed mentally. I grabbed the spike of ice with both hands and broke it off from the rest of the ice. You will not win, Todoroki. Do you want to know why? I disappeared. It's because I have conviction, Galaxy Crusher. I picked him up from behind and jumped into the air regardless of my injuries. I got to the apex of my jump and threw him towards the ground with all of my might, causing the fire to disperse and the arena to blow up, sending rock everywhere. I landed on the ground and held up a peace sign and a grimace. Somebody, get Recovery Girl over here now, shouted one of the teachers. Why can't I hear the teachers properly? Oh yeah, it's because of this huge hole in my body. I dropped to my knees and collapsed onto the floor. My eyes were lifeless. Nobody's POV. Somebody, go get Recovery Girl right now, shouted Aizawa as he ran over to Todoroki and tied him up in his scarf and taking him somewhere. All Might appeared from one of the tunnels that the students came out of and went over to Izuku. He picked up Izuku's limp body and jumped off towards Recovery Girl's office. He got to the office and busted the door down with a small kick. "What was Jesus Christ? Get him on that table now," she exclaimed when she saw Izuku in All Might's arms. Izuku was placed on the table that Recovery Girl pointed to. Two people came out of a separate room and rolled the table into the room they came from. All Might hung his head down and transformed back into his regular form. "I'm afraid that I just lost the one that deserved my quirk the most," he said to no one in particular. Momo POV. Before incident, Izuku was easily throwing punches that destroyed Todoroki's waves of ice with little to effort, but Izuku said something to Todoroki that caused him to surround the arena in a sea of fire. What just happened?" said Uraraka. "Izuku, I know you can beat Todoroki," I solemnly said in my head. I looked towards the sea of fire and witnessed something fly out of the flames, which dissipated them in an instant when something crashed into the arena. As the smoke cleared from the crash, I could make out two figures. One of them was Todoroki, who was embedded into the ground. And the second, oh god. It was Izuku standing over Todoroki with a hole the size of his fists going through his torso. BLD was running out of the hole like crazy. That's when I heard Aizawa-sensei shout, "Someone get Recovery Girl," when Izuku fell. Is Izuku, and no, oh god no. I was sobbing as I ran down the halls to get to Recovery Girl's office. You just can't be," I choked out between sobs. I got to Recovery Girl's office to only see the door knocked off of the hinges. I stepped inside and saw a sickly blonde-haired man. Who are you?" I asked the man. He jumped up from his seat and looked relieved when it was just me. "Oh, excuse my manners. My name is Toshinori Yagi." He scooted over on the bed and patted the spot next to him. I sat next to the man and started crying. The man rubbed my back. Once I calmed down, the man spoke. "May I ask, why are you crying?" He spoke in a gentle way that made me feel at ease. "Why, you see, the reason I am here, is because my boyfriend was killed because he fought for my sake." I started to cry again, even harder than last time. For me personally, I feel that I failed him as a hero. I started to cry less as I heard him say that he was a hero. "What hero are you?" I asked as I calmed down a bit. "He does look like All Might for some reason." "Did I say I was a hero?" "Whoops, you must have heard me wrong, young Yaoyorozu." "Wait, did you just call me young Yaoyorozu? Are you All Might by any chance?" I said, still crying slightly. The man spit out BLD and wiped his mouth. "I guess I have to do this," he muttered under his breath. He then took in a deep breath and transformed into All Might for a couple of seconds. He coughs up BLD. "Please, you have to understand that you can't tell anyone about who I am," he said casually. "I understand, sensei, but why do you feel like you've failed Izuku?" I asked with a tear-stricken face. "You see, 2 weeks ago, when he disappeared off the face of the earth, I found him training in a forest." "A young love," Toshinori said. Flashback, third-person POV. There have been complaints of trees being uprooted in the forest for no reason. No other heroes have been notified about this event except me, but why is that? Toshinori thought as he was in his civilian form and investigating the site of the events. Crack! The sounds reverberated through the forest. "If that's who I think it is, I'ma be mad," Toshinori thought as he transformed into his hero form. All Might then ran towards the origin of the noise, to be smacked by a tree trunk. Planted his feet into the ground and grabbed the tree trunk. He then stopped the tree trunk from moving with one arm and smashed it with his other arm. The tree trunk broke away to reveal Izuku, who sheepishly smiled and waved. "Hi, All Might. My boy, why are you destroying this forest?" All Might said with his BLD pressure rising. "I can explain," Izuku said, waving his arms. "I was out here preparing to beat Todoroki in the sports festival, so that Momo wouldn't have to marry him in the future," he quickly explained. "You're an idiot," 𝗬𝗏 said as he karate chopped Izuku on the head. "But at least you're fighting for someone and not yourself." Then coughed up BLD. "I'll see you when the sports festival starts, my boy, but I have to go now." All Might prepared to jump into the sky. "Wait, All Might, what's that in the sky?" Izuku pointed out. "Is it a villain or someone who has been affected by a quirk?" "Whatever, I have to go save them, Izuku thought as he jumped away, leaving him in the dust. He was high above the city so he could see everything that was happening below him. He saw that a bank was being held up by people. He only saw it because the floating person was above the building. He reached into his pocket and put on a mask that he made as to not reveal his true identity. Izuku then jumped up again and grabbed the hostage and gave her to the police. He rushed in without any of the police knowing he was there. The only thing they could tell was that there was a huge blast of air. In the next few moments the robbers were knocked out and brought out in front of the building. What the hell just happened? All Might muttered under his breath. How could Izuku his so easily? Maybe, just maybe, he could be my successor, All Might thought as he felt a burst of wind rush past him. 2 hours later, Momo POV Recovery Girl came out of her surgery room with some news. How is he, Recovery Girl? Is he alright? I don't want to get your hopes up, Youths, better than I'd expected. I didn't think that he'd be able to survive having his organs mostly destroyed, but when I used my quirk they rapidly regenerated. So he's better than ever, and he's waiting for you. I was overjoyed at the fact that Izuku was alive and completely fine. Shut up. I can't have the main character in this story be a mini All Might with his organs destroyed. He has to be at 100% or it'll be bad. I went into the room to see him trying to stand up. He looked over to the door and his face lit up like a lamp. He stood on his legs and came over and hugged me. Momo. It's so good to see you. So did I win the battle? I hit him on his head, causing him to hold it. You're an idiot, Izuku Midoriya. I hugged him and kissed his forehead. But you're my idiot, I said as I cried tears of joy. I guess I am, he said as he blushed. And yes, you did win the battle. So guess what? We're officially together again. If we're gonna be together it's gotta be on my terms, Izuku said proudly. Fine ya, big luck. So Momo, would you like to go on a date after I get my medal? Of course, I'd love to go on a date with you. Izuku then pumped his fist into the air and grabbed mine. Come on, we wouldn't want to be late. He then pulled me towards him and picked me up like a bride. We then ran off towards the podiums to be awarded our medals. We were close to the arena when I heard Present Mic. We will now be awarding the medals to the contestants, since the first place is now back to full health. Izuku then brought me onto the field. Izuku, shouldn't I be in 4th place? I thought I lost in the battle against Bakugo since I didn't fight in it. Shoot, must have slipped my mind. Recovery Girl told me that Shudo came in last place and was suspended for 1 month. So guess what? You came in 3rd place, and Bakugo came in 2nd place. She then brought me to the 3rd place podium and placed me on it. Since Bakugo was already on the 2nd place podium, Izuku took his place on the 1st place podium. Now, All Might, would you give these winners their medals that they deserve? All of a sudden a figure came down from the sky. Watashi Jida, All Might said from the smoke. Yeah, it's exactly like All Might says. You should shut up, Eraserhead said. Yes, I'm sorry, Present Mic said quietly. Okay, well young Momo, you did a great job in the sports festival. I commend you for making it this far. He then gave her an awkward hug. Sincere. He then took the 3rd place medal and hung it around her neck. He then walked towards Bakugo. You did a great job fighting against Izuku. Young Katsuki, you were great during the entire festival, so don't get yourself down. All Might then hugged Bakugo. Bakugo started crying because of All Might's encouragement but only let a couple of his tears be shown. All Might then walked up to Izuku. I'm sorry that you were injured, Izuku my boy, but even so you still did great getting to 1st place, and it even looks like you helped some of your fellow students out. All Might then hugged Izuku and whispered something to him. All Might then backed out of the hug and Izuku replied to his statement. I'm sorry All Might, maybe you could find someone else. Sigh, I understand my boy, I understand. And that concludes UA's 1st year sports festival. We'll see you all for the 2nd year portion soon. Present Mic announced. Izuku POV, I politely declined All Might's offer. I'd rather become a hero with my own power and not something that I borrowed. I whispered into his ear when he hugged me on the podium. All Might broke the hug and solemnly nodded. I understand my boy. Present Mic then announced that the 1st year portion was done. I then hopped off of my podium and looked to Momo. You ready to go on a date? I asked her. Yeah, just let me ask my parents first. We then headed to the changing rooms to get out of our gym uniforms and change into normal ones. I opened my locker that contained my normal clothes and took off my shirt. That's when I felt a tap on my right shoulder. I looked towards Katsuki, who was the one who tapped my shoulder, and gave him a questioning look. He then pointed his thumb towards the other corner of the room. I looked to where he was pointing. There he stood, the BSD who kissed my girlfriend and made her feel uncomfortable. I clenched my hands into fists to the point where they bled. I was visibly shaking with rage, so much so that even Kaken was scared of me. I walked towards Todoroki and tapped him on his shoulder. He turned around to face me and I punched him right in the solar plexus. He was on the ground and out of breath. That was for kissing Momo. I then kicked him again, and that was for thinking you could ever be with her. I sent a fist towards his stomach, but I hit something hard and spiky. It was Kirishima's face. Kirishima, you better get out of the way, because I don't want Tio hurt you, I angrily screamed. I get that he deserves this, but aren't you going too far? Kirishima questioned as he stood between me and Shudo. You do not know what and what he does not deserve. He tried to break me and Momo apart for his own reasons. He even kissed her. I threw my hands up in the air to add to my point. I could see that Todoroki was slowly getting up but decided to leave him alone and get changed. Deep down I knew that Kirishima was right and that he didn't deserve this much. I went back to my locker and put my shirt back on. Once it was over my head, I saw that a punch was being sent towards my face. You're a piece of... shouted Shudo, who made me turn my head to the side. Even though he punched me in the face, he caused no pain. All he did was forcefully move my head to the side. I turned my head towards his direction and looked towards every other person in the room. I gave them all a look that asked if I could destroy him. They nodded, fully knowing why he needed to be hurt. I looked Todoroki in the eyes. He was frightened, and yet I was ready to destroy him. I grabbed the fist that was on my cheek and took hold of his arm. I kicked his left foot from under him and threw him towards his locker, effectively destroying the lockers and knocking him out for the second time today. And that was for underestimating your opponent. I then started to change and soon after left to meet up with Momo. I was the first person to finish changing, and because of that I had to wait for Momo to finish, so I leaned against the wall opposite of the girls' changing room with my head aimed at the ground. I was waiting there for a solid 5 minutes until Momo finally came out. Play Starfire or the song above, hello, appealing, I said as I walked towards her and wrapped my arm around her back. I tipped her back and kissed her on the lips. I kissed her for what felt like an eternity, until she had to break away for a breath. Nice to see you too, handsome, she said seductively. Want me to come with you to your house? I wanted to make sure that she would be safe. Sure. I'd love that, she replied. I then lowered my body enough so that she could climb on my back. I started to walk to her home when she fell asleep on my head halfway through. I tried to walk more carefully for the rest of the walk. I was at her house when I knocked on the door. Who answered was someone I didn't expect. It was Atlas Yaoyorozu. Oh, hello Mr. Yaoyorozu, may I come inside with your daughter? I asked him. Sure you can, in fact just take her to her room. Alistair, Atlas called. Yes, Mr. Yaoyorozu, Alistair said. I want you to instruct this boy up to my daughter's room. Yes sir, Alistair said obediently. Come with me. Alistair started to walk up the stairs to Momo's room and I followed him. He opened the door to Momo's room. I walked in and placed Momo onto her bed. She is way too cute when she's sleeping, I thought as I tucked her into her bed. I walked out of her room after kissing her on her forehead and walked downstairs. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you again, Mr. Yaoyorozu, but I have to leave. Good, I was interrupted by Atlas. Hold on my boy, I need to speak to you, he said urgently. I looked him in the eyes and waited patiently. I would like to apologize for breaking you and my daughter up. I could see that who I tried to marry her to was the worst possible decision. So I would like to ask, would you like to marry my daughter? He asked sincerely. I can't say that I would, because it is up to Momo to marry who she wants. Toy may not be the one who she wants to be with anyways. I still love her with all my heart, sir, I said to him. He walked towards me and placed his hand on my shoulder. I understand, but I hope that she does marry you. Also, I'd like to invite you to dinner tonight to celebrate my daughter getting third in the sports festival. What do you say, boy? I nodded my head. I'd love to come, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I bowed and headed out of the door. Atlas's POV. I honestly hope that I'm doing the right thing, I said. You can come out now, Mr. Todoroki. A white and red-haired boy came out from around the corner. If you believe me, then you sent Izuku to get killed by your men. Am I correct? Shudo asked Mr. Yaoyorozu. Yes, my boy. If you aren't lying, then the boy should be killed for what he did to my future son-in-law. Izuku. I ran home as to get ready for dinner with 𝐎𝐩𝐢𝐴 later today. Finally. I can finally continue dating Momo. I'm happy that Mr. Yaoyorozu made the right decision. Soon after leaving the Yaoyorozu's house, I made it to my own home. I went to the front door and pulled out a spare key. I unlocked the door quickly. I'm HOO. I shouted into my dark house. I walked into the house, turning on the lights. Are Wiza there? No response. I walked into the kitchen and turned on the lights. She wasn't there. Could she have left home? I then walked to my room and turned on the light. What awaited me was unpleasant. My room was cold and everything was shredded to bits. What the F happened here? I questioned as I grabbed my bed sheets and moved them because there was lettering beneath them. You will die. Those 3 words were written in BLD upon my bed. Wait, where the F I sing? I was worried for her safety since this could be her BLD. I rushed out of my room and tried to open her room. The door wouldn't budge, so I slammed into the door with all of my might. It came off of its hinges and blasted off to the other wall. Her room was frozen over with thick coatings of ice, but there was something else wrong with it. There was a corner of the room that hadn't been frozen over at all, so I walked over to the corner. With each step I took broke the ice under my feet, impaling myself with the shards. But I didn't care. The corner of the room looked suspicious, so there is most likely a clue as to where my mother is, I thought the entire time I walked. I was finally in the corner when I saw a note that was covered in dry BLD. I picked up the note fearing the worst. It read, "If you want to save your mother, go to the abandoned area of the Hosu Ward, Tamura Shigaraki." Why the F does this happen to me? I said aloud, not expecting a response, but that was exactly what I got. I don't know why you swear so much, but you should stop it, said an unknown voice coming from in front of me. I raised my guard, prepared to fight whoever was in the room with me, so I turned around and scanned the room, but there was nothing there. What in the flying F was that? I said in English. I felt hot breath running down my neck, so I did a complete 180 and saw nothing there. Right behind you, a voice rang out from behind me. I felt pain in my lower back and the trickle of a warm liquid down it. I punched the space behind me and engulfed the room in a huge torrent of wind that would surely knock anything against the walls. I heard the thud of a person against the farthest wall, so I turned around to see a pitch-black boy. What or why? I stopped speaking when he started to turn into liquid. Once the boy was completely liquefied, I went to my bathroom and tended to my wound. I took off my shirt and took out some gauze from my bathroom mirror. Thank God I thought about cutting myself. That may sound morbid, but I would have never been able to wrap myself up. Once I finished wrapping the wound, I put my shirt back on and headed to the abandoned portion of Hosu. Don't worry, Mom. After an hour of riding the train to Hosu, I made it. Now to get to the abandoned portion, I have to go left from the train station. I didn't know which way to go, so I just FD it and went to the left of the train station. I powered up my quirk and took large jumps. I started to notice the severe degradation of the buildings around me, so I took to the rooftops to see my surroundings better. I scanned the buildings around me when I felt the presence from earlier. I raised my guard as soon as I felt the air become colder and the shadows got darker. I heard slow clapping come from above me. My head whipped towards the sound. What I saw didn't surprise me. It was Todoroki, and he had my mother third person. Clap, clap, clap. Good job on finding where we were, Izuku, and for that you deserve a standing ovation. Todoroki bowed. The sound of clapping resounded throughout the rooftop. Multiple figures came out of the shadows of the building. The League of Villains. What can they possibly be here for? Izuku thought. You know that you want to defeat me with 128 people? It's gonna take a literal army to stop me, Izuku said cockily. Of course it'll take an army to take you down, but guess what? You miscounted. Todoroki said ecstatically. What do you mean? There's only 8 people here including you. Izuku's brain was racked with the thought of another person being here. Andrew Midoriya, would you mind stepping out of the shadows? Todoroki instructed. Hey kid. The figure stepped out into the light. It was Izuku's father, whom he feared. It's been way too long since I've seen you, Andrew said. And no, you can't be here. This has got to be a J joke or something. Izuku said as he held his now pounding head. Toga, you gave him that serum, right? Asked a villain with purple stitches. Toga nodded. Yeah, I did. He should be joining us pretty soon. Toga held her now blushing face. Anyways, I'm gonna kick all of your asses now, Izuku said as he powered up his quirk to go after Todoroki first. He jumped at 𝗏𝗏 only to be knocked back into it by someone. He stood up but was sent right back down by a fist to his back. The figure now stood on top of him exerting lots of power. Tisk, I guess he will never learn, said the figure who stood on Izuku's back. Haha, I win Izuku. This caused Izuku to divert his attention from his father to Todoroki, who was now holding a sword made out of ice. Your mother will now pay for your mistakes. He swung the sword in his hand at Midoriya. Izuku's POV, I shouted as Todoroki brought the sword down upon her. I was furious, far beyond the capabilities of a normal human. No, he tried taking Momo away but ultimately lost. But if he takes my mom's life, I will go to the ends of the earth to destroy him and everyone here, I angrily thought. Todoroki's movement started to slow down and the presence on my back lessened. Izuku, you know what to do, said an unknown voice from the heavens. The unknown voice was correct. I knew that I was to save my mother in this moment. That was why I was gifted with an amazing life. Third-person Izuku's eyes glowed a brilliant white light. He then easily lifted his father off of him and walked towards 𝗏𝗏 and his mother. This all happened in a fraction of a second. Izuku was right on top of Todoroki when he put his hand on 𝗏𝗏's shoulder. Izuku pushed 𝗏𝗏 to the side slightly, yet he was sent towards the way to get to the roof. Izuku then picked up his mother and took her to another building. He left her with his phone as he was meant to clash with his rival for the final time today. He made it to where he was pinned to the ground by his father. When his eyes stopped glowing an ethereal white, he was back to normal. He cleared his throat and spoke, "Come and get me, assholes." Everyone stood still. "What are you doing standing there? Go get the goddamn bee," shouted the now recovered Todoroki. The first person to come at him was a man with a black and gray bodysuit on, accompanied by Izuku's father. Andrew sent a punch towards Izuku's torso, but he connected with nothing but air. Because Izuku dodged, the man in the black bodysuit was suddenly knocked out by Izuku, which caused the nearest Andrew to melt. "Next time, don't be so predictable," Izuku said smugly. A wave of blue and red fire was sent at him by the villain with the stitches on him and 𝗏𝗏. Izuku took in a deep breath and cupped his hands together. He then unleashed all the wind at the fire, which blew it out and through the Todoroki brothers' back. Izuku then appeared in front of the stitched villain and knocked him out with a decisive blow to the chest. The next three to come at him were the villain that lurked in the shadows along with Toga and Tamura. "I want to see this world swallowed by darkness," said the Abyss Walker that was now behind Izuku. The man tried doing what he did earlier to Izuku. Boy, was that a mistake. Izuku turned around in an instant and flicked the man off of the rooftop. Tamura was directly behind Izuku with his hand outstretched when Toga suddenly tackled Tamura to the ground. "What in the absolute hell are you doing, you freak?" shouted Tamura. "You can't just hurt my Izuku that easily, hand man," Toga retorted. If you guys would stop bickering." They turned their attention towards me. Izuku powered up a slap which when released would knock their heads into the ground, knocking them out easily. It happened exactly like Izuku thought it would. "There we go, the trash is dealt with. Now, I want you two to come at me with everything you got." Izuku was talking to the real version of his dad and 𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏 sent a wave of fire and ice towards Izuku. Izuku stood there until the moment where it would hit him. He parried it at the last moment right back at Todoroki. The ice splintered and traveled back to Todoroki, hitting him in the face and knocking him out. "Way too easy," Izuku stated. "Well son, be prepared. I won't be going easy on you," the real Andrew claimed. "Of course, it would be great to see if I surpass the only other person that holds my quirk," Izuku calmly said. Both father and son took fighting positions. They stayed in their positions until Andrew appeared in front of Izuku in the blink of an eye. "What the F?" Izuku was punched into the air with the point of contact being his solar plexus. "Tut, tut, language my boy," said Andrew, who was still on the roof. Andrew then easily jumped to Izuku's height, which was thousands of feet in the air. He brought his fists above his head and cupped them together. Andrew then brought his hands down upon Izuku. Izuku was sent spiraling into the ground at an insane rate. When he made contact with the ground, Izuku created a crater that was a mile wide in every direction. Andrew landed after Izuku and went over to here he landed. Andrew dug into the rubble until he spotted a tuft of green hair. He then punched through the rubble and grabbed Izuku's arm, easily hoisting him out of the rubble and putting him over his head. Izuku was battered and broken. His arms were pointing in multiple different ways. His shirt was torn off, revealing that his torso was cut everywhere and bleeding. He was also faintly breathing, and his heartbeat was severely weaker. You talked all that day, yet you went down easier than a fly getting hit by a swatter. He tossed Izuku to the side. Now it's finally time to put an end to your mother, Andrew said as he started to walk off. And no, I won't let you just walk away, said Izuku as he rose from the ground. I will protect her even if it means that I have to draw my last breath to do so. Okay. Andrew appeared in front of Izuku readying a punch. Izuku's eyes widened at the fist. Then perish, Andrew released his fist in Izuku's direction. It was a punch that could take down All Might. Every single building behind Izuku was completely devastated by the sheer amount of wind power. That was amazing, kid. I knew you were holding out on me, said Andrew. Izuku was behind him, his fist going straight through his father's chest. Andrew's chest spewed blood from every possible direction. He slumped down after he drew his final breath. I know I am, that's why I'm becoming a hero, Andrew, Izuku said to the now lifeless corpse of Andrew. Izuku brought his fist back to his side. The entire arm was coated in blood. That was excessive, but it had to be done, Izuku said as he limped towards where the rest of the League of Villains and his mother were. It was completely untouched by Izuku and Andrew, so both sides were safe. Except Izuku, obviously. He had just killed for the first time in his life. Izuku knew that killing people was bad like any other person, but he was doing it to save tons of lives. He knew this but was still upset over the thought of having to take another person's life. But deep down, an animalistic side of Izuku was happy that his first ever kill was the man that had tormented him in his early childhood and more recently. Izuku's legs gave out beneath him because of all the damage caused to them by Andrew. He fell on his knees. Guess I'm going down. If I die, I'll be seeing you in hell, Andrew. Izuku completely crashed into the ground as his vision faded. He said one last thing. I'm really sorry about this, Momo, but I may have to leave this world behind. Izuku finally blacked out.